should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht edition live on Facebook. Tonight we are joined by the lovely Hugo Park, who'll be telling us all about his new boot camp. And we have our usual fun and games of This Day in History, Matt Goes Dutch, and Tracy's Tidbits. So stay tuned.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht edition. Here we are again. And oh my goodness, a little bit sweatier this week, I would say, wouldn't you, boys and girls?
It's very different to last week. It's like we started summer already in June. Who'd have thought?
It's about time, isn't it? My goodness. And before we go any further, we just want to do a big shout out to Adam, who is going to be doing our tech for us this evening. Our lovely technical director, Firdavs, is having a break for a couple of weeks, and Adam has stepped in the background there, and he's playing with Firdavs knobs while he is away. So we have a big thank you to him for keeping us going for the next couple of weeks.
Bless him. He's a happy volunteer. Let's hope he survives tonight, because we need him next week again. Huh?
We certainly do. We certainly do. But he's joined us on a really good week because, as Matt said, we've got Hugo joining us from Bridge Personal Fitness. Now, he's going to be talking about his new boot camp that he's got going on. We've got lots of questions about this, about maybe doing it in this heat. Oh my goodness! The idea of doing it in milder weather gives us the chills, as it were. But
it would be more effective, wouldn't it? Like you sweat more, so you lose.
You would
more weight.
sweat more, yes, but there's risk of
to me,
dehydration.
Sweat so you can sweat normal. Maybe he sings that to his clients.
I hope he doesn't.
Well, we shall find out. And another sweaty occupation. It's all we seem to be talking about a lot of sweat so far, but another sweaty occupation is biking. And today it is World Bicycle Day.
Hurrah!
So, hurrah! So we want to hear from you guys about you and your bike, because being in the Netherlands, of course, well, the bike is king. It is.
The bike is king.
It is literally, isn't it? I mean, it's like the main form of transport here. Tracy, you know, like picking order, as you're saying.
Absolutely. I think there's like something like 29 million bicycles here, and then 20 million people or something like that.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of bicycles, many of which have been abandoned or perhaps at the bottom of a canal somewhere. But most households, everybody has a bicycle. And it is, in fact, if you live in the city centre like I do, it's really the only way to get around. It's much faster than going by car and much easier than going on foot. So it is king.
Well, yes, and I think that the Dutch have definitely nailed it here, haven't they, as far as how to use a bike around the town, around the cities, because we have these bike lanes all over the place, which make it a lot safer. But I would say it's probably safer for the biker rather than the pedestrian, because, of course, if you get in the way of somebody on their bike here, God help you. Now, coming back to Tracy on this one, because you are a keen cyclist around the city. Yes. Are you quite menacing when you get on? Is it Betsy?
Betty, my bike is called Betty. Yes. She's fabulous. She has a little basket with flowers, and she's a kind of painted in a fancy classic black colour. And she's indeed Betty. I'm a bit of a menace on the bicycle, actually. I tend to cycle rather quickly, and I love to use my bell. So if there are people who are in the way, ding dong, hello, and it's kind of, and I kind of under my breath, bloody tourist, this kind of thing. But it's wonderful. Honestly, it's my car in the city.
Yeah.
Really, it's you can get someplace so much quicker, and like you said, Joe, it's built for us people. Even if you're walking up a set of stairs or steps, they've got these little grids in the side where you put your bike in to take them up. You've got storage points everywhere, and you can keep your bike as rickety as you like, because they've got great chaps here in Maastricht at on the Stasi who can repair your bicycle even if it's on its last tires.
Absolutely. You can be 100 years old and they will still keep it going. It might be creaking, it might be a little bit wobbly, but it will keep going for sure.
Indeed. I've seen people cycling bikes with buckled wheels, and it's impressive sometimes. Yes.
Well, let's talk about that, because I remember when I first landed here, oh my goodness, how long ago? What was that, 11, 12 years ago? And I was living in Rotterdam, and I found it very scary to start with, that these bikes were coming at me from all angles. But what I found completely amazing was how much Dutch people can get on a bike. Not just the family, but a whole week's of shopping and a couple of plants. And maybe actually the neighbours as well on the back of the bike. I mean, literally, I couldn't believe what I would see cycling down the road.
Yes, it's quite impressive. If you've got a basket front and back, or you've got the side saddle things, you can get lots in there. Yeah, you can cycle with like a big box on front and the handlebar, and cycle one-handed, because you've got one hand on the box and one on the brake. That's quite fun. Anything
Have you ever seen Dutch people? They cycle and they roll one bike alongside.
Yes.
Right. I tried to do that the other week, because we were going to meet a friend and we had a spare bike. We were like, well, we can do this. It'll be fine. It looks simple. We'll just do. No, didn't work. We made it about a meter, and then the bike fell over, and then a car was coming towards us, and everyone was watching us walking both sides. Oh God.
No, Matthew.
I think the key is you need an Oma-fiets with a back brake, otherwise it doesn't work, because you need your hands for the other brake, and it doesn't work.
Maybe explain to everybody what that actually means, Matt.
What, an Oma-fiets?
Yes.
An Oma-fiets is a grandma bike, which is the bikes with no like crossbar from the seat level, so like a lady's bike.
Yeah.
With just you brake by pedaling backwards, and there's no gears.
I mean, I remember the first time I saw that too. I was like, "What? Do that again? Do that again?" And I thought, yeah. And when the first time I tried it, I fell off my bike. I thought it was, I just found it very, very
quite tricky. Yeah, you need to get, the worst thing is if you're going from a bike that has brake handlebars and you change and get one that's an Oma-fiets or an Opa-fiets, and then you're cycling along and you're doing this, you're going, I'm not stopping, and then you're like, oh, I forgot to pedal backwards.
Yes.
So it does take a bit.
I had that problem a few weeks ago when I had an OV-fiets. And we had to do a sudden brake for some reason. And I was like, why isn't it stopping?
Oh, no.
So I had to jump off the bike because there wasn't enough time. It was fine.
Oh, God, the perils of the bicycle lane, honestly.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But so would you say the two of you really embrace biking here in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I mean, it is the easiest and quickest way to get around.
So certainly, when I first landed here, I bought a mountain bike with me that had a million gears on it, and I learned literally within a week that this was not going to work at all. So I had to
Ditch.
I had to get some new teeth, and then I had to dump the mountain bike and then buy what I call a Mary Poppins bike. So the one that's is very traditional, where you're sitting up very high and the handlebars are very high. And that again also I found a bit strange to start with, because I wasn't used to biking sitting up quite so straight. But and that only has 2 gears on it, and that made much more sense getting around the city, because bent over with a mountain bike, that doesn't work at all.
No, indeed, you need a stance feet if you're in the city. I think it's more handy really, because you're going over pretty flat surfaces, which is another bonus. If you're cycling around, you don't have to negotiate too many hills. So I guess the mountain bike is a bit unnecessary.
Absolutely. But hey, people, tell us about you and your bike. Tracy's got a Betty. Do you have a Fred? What do you have? What kind of bike do you have? Do you love biking here? Do you take your bikes out of town, maybe? Maybe you're a hardened cyclist that races or something, with your sexy lycra or something. I don't know. Come on, tell us. Let's hear about you and your bike. So I think it probably is time to find out what Matt thought of the album that we gave him to review this week. So, as always, every week between me and Tracy, we give him an album on alternate weeks to review. And with very successful weeks, we've had, I don't know, we haven't had a 0 yet, have we?
We had a 0. I think we had a 3 or a 4 was the lowest so far.
Yes.
Maybe this week.
Maybe this week.
But we've had a few 10s, much to our delight. We've been very pleased about that. Yay!
And there was much rejoicing.
So, this week, I decided to go a little bit, I'd say a little bit different, although this is a band, of course, that everybody knows, but then they've got a huge catalogue of music to choose from. And I decided to go with an album that, although is a very famous album, it's not packed with hits, and it's quite a long album. So I thought, and I did advise Matt to maybe listen to it over a couple of nights. So we're talking about the Rolling Stones and Exile on Main Street. First of all, Matt, were you cooking when you were listening to this?
I was. It was a big meal. No, that's not the right word. Sorry, I had my Dutch lesson today. My sentences are all over the place. It was a big job.
Okay. So, well, that bodes well, actually, because it's a big album. So maybe the whole album...
making caponata. Have you ever had caponata?
Oh.
No. Is that a meat-based thing?
I recommend it.
What is caponata?
An Italian dish. Sort of like a chutney, but you have it with pasta. It's like aubergines and capers and olives, and celery. It's amazing.
I like the sound of caponata.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, maybe we should start a cookery section, actually. In this
We would all be so hungry by then.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds very interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad you had a very nice meal. Did you have a very nice listening experience while you were cooking the meal?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the album. Because I think we spoke about it before that I used to love Guitar Hero when I was.
Yeah.
I think some of those songs are on that game because I don't know why else I would recognize them from.
Okay.
Because isn't the Rolling Stones that one that's like Back to Black or something?
Okay, that's one of their.
Paint It Black, I think.
Paint It Black. There you go.
Paint It Black, yeah, Paint It Black.
And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was quite good. It was a bit, I don't know, bluesy, jazz rock.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I quite enjoyed it.
Excellent. Oh, this is good. So you didn't find it too long and laborious then?
No.
Oh, this bodes very well. Excellent. Okay. So going back to the Guitar Hero side of it then, were you actually doing some air guitar at the same time as messing around with your caponata?
No, unfortunately not. I was playing with my knife though, so I thought it'd be a bit safer to just do it with the beat of the knife, you know.
Oh, this is good, Tracy, I think, actually. I like it. Okay, this is great. Okay, so just before we get your score, how much of the Rolling Stones were you aware of? I mean, I know obviously, yes, they're one of the biggest bands in the world, but is it a band that actually you'd listened to much before, or just what was on the radio?
Just what was on Guitar Hero, I think.
Oh, what was on Guitar Hero? Okay, fair enough. Okay. Well, there's a lot of people out there that would say the likes of Keith Richards from the Stones is a guitar hero. That is for sure. But out of 10, what would you be ranking him and the guys then? How many Mats out of 10?
I decided I would give it a 9.
9! Excellent. Oh, I'm really pleased about that. Really pleased about that. I do think it is an excellent album. Did you get what I was saying about, because I mentioned last week, with this album for me, it's just sort of like a group of really good musicians who were just sort of jamming together, having a really good time, and just producing some good music. Did you get that kind of feel?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I mean about like it was quite bluesy, quite sort of laid back, but also yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was cool.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. I'm very, very pleased with that. Brilliant stuff. So, Tracy, it's your turn to pick an album. Have you gone completely different?
I should think so, yes. First of all, I've chosen a solo female artist.
Okay.
And secondly, this lady is all the way from the land of New Zealand.
Oh.
And I've chosen for you her debut album, which comes from way back in 1997. Now, the album is in the genre of considered rock, but I think there's also a little bit of folk in there. It's also a little bit of easy listening. And I'm very curious because this album has apparently down in New Zealand, it went 7 times platinum. So it's pretty impressive. So I guess I'm expecting, that you might hopefully like it. And I've chosen for you, Matthew, an album called Drive by Bic Runga. There we go. There we are. This one. So this is what I've chosen for you. There's only 11 songs on the album.
Perfect.
So you're good to go. It's already
That's completely opposite to what he just had.
Exactly. So it's nice and quick and easy. So you don't need to have a big meal. You can make dessert with this album in the background, I should think. But have a listen and see. I don't know many artists from New Zealand, to be honest with you. So this is a new one for me as well. She's had a lot of albums since then and various collaborations, but this is indeed the first album that she brought out. So maybe a good place to start. So my recommendation for you, Matthew, is Drive, the debut album from Bic Runga.
Okay.
Excellent. I tell you what, Tracy, I'm going to listen to this too because this is a new one for me.
Well, there we go. Look at my eclectic collection. My goodness.
Excellent. Okay.
Cool. Well, we'll have a double review next week then.
Ah, superb. Now, thinking of other artists from New Zealand, I think Lordi, who popped up on the scene about 7 years ago.
Finland.
No, not that Lordi.
Right.
Lord, isn't it Lord?
I mean, the young girl, she brought out a song called Royals about 6 years ago, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you mean Lord.
Oh, is it Lord? I thought it was Lordi, because isn't it spelt with an E?
Yeah, but I don't think you say it. I don't remember everyone saying Lord.
Oh, okay, so it's Lord.
No wonder I was confused.
Well, I'm confused all the time, my love. I mean, that's blatantly obvious. So it's Lord with an E, but without an E.
Right. It's like
silent E.
A silent E. A silent E. Yeah.
Lord with a silent E. Okay. Yes, but I think she's from New Zealand.
Ah, okay. I have not heard of her, Anna.
So we've got two. We'll have to have a think about this. Let's ask our viewers out there actually if you can name any other artists from New Zealand, because we're only up to 2 so far, but there's got to be more.
There's bound to be more, because sometimes I think of the lands down under New Zealand, Australia, and places. You think, of course, of the fabulous Kylie, and you think of Men at Work and various bands like this. Crowded House, yes, Crowded House. And what's your man? What's that chap? I've forgotten his name now. Never mind. But in any case, from New Zealand,
Jason Donovan.
Yeah, Jason Donovan as well. And there's this. If you go through them, we can come up with quite a list. Yeah.
In fact, actually, was it last year? No, the year before, when we had an Australian Day celebration.
We did.
Because we were showing our support for Australia when they were going through all the terrible fires. And so we had a themed night in the studio, which was all Australian artists on our playlist. So we know there are definitely more than 3 or 4, because we had a whole evening of artists.
We did, yes, indeed. So yeah, we need to do that again sometime. We just can't remember. It's a long time ago. Much has happened in between. But tonight we're focusing on the fabulous land of New Zealand, which is on my bucket list.
Oh yes, definitely. Oh yes. So when you look at the pictures, it looks absolutely stunning. And my friend who comes from New Zealand, she's often posting pictures of her home country, and it looks absolutely so.
Very nice.
Marvellous stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to hear what you have to say about that, Matthew, and I'm looking forward to listening to it, Tracy.
Oh,
So
there we go.
yes, excellent choice. Oh, I like trying something new. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to try something old now because I think it's time for us to maybe get a little bit zen-like and look back
Cool off.
in the yes, cool down a little bit. Stick the fan on. Stick your fan on. Stick your feet up. Don't have a cup of tea. Have a glass of wine. Cool down a little bit because it is time for this day.
History.
Oh, stunning as usual. And of course, we're in June now.
Yes, we are.
We're in June. It's the 3rd of June. For goodness sake, we're nearly halfway through the year. What's going on?
It's true. It's something like 210 days till Christmas. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Thanks,
But,
Tracy.
It's really shocking. We're getting towards, when is the longest day of the year? Isn't that in June?
That's next. Was it the end of the month?
21st of June or something.
Something ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, let's not dwell on it. Let's just stick with today. And today it is the 3rd of June 2021. And on this day in 1856, Cullen Whipple patents the machine for making screws.
Well, Colin Whittle, whatever your name was, well done.
Yes, I think, to be honest with you, his name is more interesting. Although, to be fair, where would we be without a nice, slow, comfortable screw? I mean, really. I mean, the world would fall apart if we didn't have screws.
Well, the building certainly would fall apart indeed. So, yes, that wouldn't be good. Right.
Screws are very important. We need more screws. Screws are good. Let's keep up the screwing. It's good. In 1949, on this very day, the first African American to graduate from the US Naval Academy did so, and his name was Wesley Anthony Brown. And on the 3rd of June in 1956, third-class travel on British railways ends. Now, of course, this is before my time, but I do remember when I was a kid, you had these very distinctive sort of your first class and your second class, and you couldn't sit in either without the right ticket and so on and so forth, because you used to have a man come round who would check your ticket vigorously and make sure that you were sitting where you were supposed to be sitting. These days, of course, a lot of the trains, they don't even have anybody coming around checking your tickets anymore. And quite often they don't even have what they call a first class. But it was all, when I was a kid, it was, you were scared of the ticket conductor, shall we say, whenever you got the train. And the same with the buses as well. You know, you have to make sure, get your ticket, make sure you have your ticket. In 1964, on this day, Ringo Starr. Who's Ringo Starr, Matthew?
Matt.
Think
insects.
A giant insect.
No.
Well, in some respects, he is. He's a giant beetle.
Oh, is he one of the Beatles?
He's one of the Beatles. Yes, he's a drummer. He actually collapsed from tonsillitis on this very day. But spoiler alert, he came out of it okay. He's fine. Yes. He's actually one of only two that are still around. And he spends a lot of time doing this. Whenever you see a picture of him.
But he does also, doesn't he? Isn't he the voice of Thomas the Tank?
In the UK, he's the voice of Thomas the Tank Engine, yes. And famously, he doesn't do autographs.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
So don't ask him for an autograph, you won't get one. On this day in 1965, the first US spacewalk was made by NASA astronaut Ed White during the Gemini 4 mission. He was out there for 23 minutes. And a few years later, in 1968, the American radical feminist Valerie Solanas attempts to assassinate Andy Warhol by shooting him 3 times. She is later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and pleads guilty to reckless assault with intent to harm. She served a 3-year sentence.
Well.
1 year for each bullet. But
so it seems.
another spoiler alert, he came out of that okay too.
He was all right.
He
Yeah.
was okay. Seems that the 3rd of June's a good day to get ill or be shot.
Seems like it's a safe day. Yes.
It is a safe day. It is. Now, on this day in 1969, the last episode of the original series of Star Trek aired. Oh my goodness. Now.
No longer boldly went. That's just terrible.
Yes, it just boldly went off air. That's what happened. So I wasn't around for the original series, but in the 70s I was watching reruns of Star Trek and fell in love with the series. I absolutely adored the original and still do. And I love all the new versions and the films, everything, and anything to do with Star Trek. I am a Trekkie. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. I'm a Trekkie. 1988 on this very day. Oh my goodness, this is when I fell in love with Tom Hanks. The film, directed by Penny Marshall, Big, premiered.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have been a lifelong fan of Tom Hanks ever since. I absolutely adored that film. Do you remember this film, Tracy?
I remember the movie, yes. It didn't make me fall in love with Tom Hanks, though, but it was a nice film. No, it was all right, though. I've seen it a couple of times.
I love Tom Hanks. I absolutely love Tom Hanks. Matthew, have you seen the film Big?
No, and I don't like Tom Hanks either.
Dear,
I've seen him like on a chat show. He's so arrogant. Oh,
Yeah, well, oh God, Matthew, cover. Oh my goodness, Joe. Next topic.
Ever met anybody who doesn't like Tom Hanks? I mean, really?
There you go. Well, there you are.
Adam, I know you can hear us in the background there. Can you just cut Matthew out for the rest of the show?
Oh, poor Matthew.
That's shocking. Oh my goodness.
Awful,
well, before we go on, I'm just going to put it out there. If there's anybody else out there that doesn't like Tom Hanks, don't let me know. On this day in 2006, the Union of Serbia and Montenegro comes to an end with Montenegro's formal declaration of independence. And in 2015, on the 3rd of June, Dr. Jesse Selber performs the first world's partial skull and scalp transplant at Houston Methodist Hospital. So partial skull and scalp. That's quite a big thing. That's Silence of the Lamb territories kind of thing, I believe. 2017, on this very day, the Amazing World of Dr. Seuss Museum opens in Springfield, Massachusetts. And also that very same year, the largest ever exhibition of works by Piet Mondrian opens at the Gemeente Museum in The Hague, in the Netherlands, to mark the centenary of the De Stijl movement. Now, my husband and I went along to this very exhibition. There was a lot of Piet Mondrian, I can tell you. Oh my goodness. And it was, well, you know, it is an acquired taste. I like it. I know a lot of the people find it a bit odd because it's just a lot of coloured squares, but it was an amazing exhibition. So hopefully they will do that again. And finally, on this day in 2019, Jay-Z was named the world's first billionaire rapper by Forbes magazine. Matthew, you need to start rapping.
Oh, okay.
If you're going to make your fortune, you need to start rapping.
Okay, I will write down some tunes.
Good. Excellent. Yes. Well, we've got the perfect platform here for you to try them out, obviously. So.
Indeed.
Okay.
I like to rap, but it's the kind with paper and sellotape. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could the TME rap.
Oh yes, we could have a rap off. I think
the viewers are already switching off in their droves.
I don't think they were here in the first place, Joe.
Let's check out the birthdays. On this day in 1925, the gorgeous Tony Curtis was born, famous for Some Like It Hot, born in Manhattan, New York. 1926, Allen Ginsberg, the American beat poet, was born. 1950, one of my heroines, Susie Quatro, the American pop singer and actress, was born on this day in Detroit. The latest Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker, the English actress, she was born in 1982 on this very day. And finally, in 1986, Rafael Nadal, the Spanish tennis player, 20 Grand Slam singles titles, was born in Menorca on the Balearic Islands in España.
We love him.
We love him very much. And yeah, so happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to anybody else who's celebrating a birthday. And that was this day in history. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
So there you go.
Lovely.
Lovely
Very
stuff.
interesting, as always. Yes, I do like a bit of Rafa Nadal. I think he's a very humble chap. If you watch him in interviews and chats and things, nice chappy he is.
And I like watching him play. I mean, he's amazing athlete. He's superb, absolutely superb. And of course, the French Open's going on at the moment. There's been lots of news.
Yeah, some controversy there indeed.
It's all going on. It's all going on. But there's all sorts going on here as well, because it's time for the news, I believe.
Oh, yes. I am ready now, yes.
Excellent. Tracy Taylor with the news.
Yes, thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's June 3rd, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and some more thundery showers are expected in South Limburg tonight. The stormy and muggy weather will continue into Friday and Saturday, but by Sunday, the skies will clear and we can expect sunshine and temperatures of 24 degrees. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. As of this Saturday, most locations in the Netherlands will be open again. However, it's still important to keep following the basic rules of avoiding busy places, washing hands, wearing masks, and keeping distance. Individuals should also continue to work from home if possible. A maximum of 4 visitors are now allowed in the home and to gather outdoors. Indoor spaces at amusement parks, nature parks, and zoos may also reopen. Establishments serving food and drink can open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., but everyone must have an assigned seat, and sitting at the bar is not allowed. In other news, NASA has announced plans to launch 2 missions to Venus between 2028 and 2030. They will study the atmosphere and geological features of Earth's so-called sister planet to better understand why the two emerge so differently. The U.S. Space Agency is awarding $500 million each to develop the 2 missions. One will be called Da Vinci Plus and the other Veritas. NASA's last dedicated mission to Venus, the Magellan spacecraft, reached the planet in 1990. U.S. President Joe Biden will meet with Britain's Queen Elizabeth after he attends the G7 summit in London later this month. It will be the Queen's first meeting in person with a foreign head of state since the pandemic hit. Buckingham Palace has said the Queen will meet the President and First Lady Jill Biden at Windsor Castle on June 13th, the day after her official birthday. According to a new report, wildlife ranging from bluebells to bumblebees and snow leopards to emperor penguins are under threat from climate change. The WWF has called on world leaders meeting for climate talks in Glasgow in November to take action to cut greenhouse gas emissions in order to curb global temperature rises and limit the damage to nature and people. And the Dutch Association for Anesthesiology has said that it will take at least 2 years to catch up on the surgery backlog caused by the coronavirus pandemic. If doctors only focused on postponed operations, the healthcare system could eliminate the backlog in 2 months. However, the catch-up comes on top of regular care that must be scaled up to normal levels. Dutch railway company Arriva is planning to introduce 2 new night train routes which will connect the cities of Groningen and Maastricht to Schiphol Airport. The lines could be introduced in 2023 and would initially run once a week. And many Netherlands workers are not looking forward to returning to the office full-time once the COVID-19 pandemic is under control. Almost half of those who work from home would prefer to keep doing so at least a few days a week. A quarter would even prefer to find a new job rather than go back to the office full-time. And Tuesday, 1st June, marked the Netherlands' first official day of summer. In order to be considered a summer's day, temperatures in De Bilt, a town near Utrecht and home to the Dutch Weather Institute, must reach at least 25 degrees. According to meteorologists, a temperature of 25.2 degrees was recorded in the afternoon, the first such temperature since September 2020. And finally tonight, a cat called Gizmo from Hengelo near the German border had been missing for over 2 months when he was found in the center of Amsterdam earlier this week. It seems Gizmo had hitchhiked all the way to the Dutch capital. Reports of a black cat wandering around the Prinsengracht for several days was reported, and the animal ambulance team went to scan the microchip. Gizmo's family were contacted and immediately traveled to Amsterdam to be reunited with their kitty. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts, and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble, and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Oh, lovely stuff, Tracy.
Thank
Why
you,
did
Darren.
the cat end up in Amsterdam? What was it after that?
I know. I think from what I can gather, he sort of hopped into some automobile or trailer of some sort and just kind of got carried there, and then found himself on kind of a city break. Poor little kitty cat. But it goes to show people, microchip your pets. It's very important if they go
You
missing.
never know. He may have catapulted there.
Boom, boom. Possum joke, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay, let's stop now.
Let's move on. Let's bring a bit of class back to the show and have our guest join us.
That sounds like a very good idea. Yes, let's get Hugo in from Bridge Personal Fitness. He's going to be joining us right now because we're going to be talking about a boot camp. Oh my goodness, those two words already make me hot. Just saying boot camp is like, oh, there we go, hot flush.
I do like shoes though, but boot camp, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think it's a different kind of camp. And here is Hugo now. Good evening, Hugo.
Hello, good evening.
Lovely to have you with us again. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, absolute pleasure. The last time you were on, we were talking about a particular challenge that you had set up. But I remember at the time, this challenge got postponed for about a month or so. Have you completed the challenge now?
I have completed the challenge, yeah. It did get postponed a couple of times because of the curfew, because the challenge consisted of running 4 miles, so just under 6.5K, every 4 hours for 48 hours. So I have to repeat that 12 times. 4 miles every 4 hours. Yeah. So obviously that meant with a curfew going on, I couldn't exactly be running through the night 2 nights in a row. So it had to get kind of put forward indefinitely. I didn't have a new date exactly because we didn't know when the curfew would lift, which kind of allowed me to forget about it a little bit and not not train for it like I should have. So I was very, very glad when I did it because it became a little bit of an anxiety.
But do you know what? I think there's a big difference between you not training for a little while and us not training for a little while, because this is a huge challenge, and it was for charity. Well, remind us again who you were doing the running for.
Yeah, of course. It was for the Stichting Stille Armen Maastricht. So I hope I've done my best Dutch accent there. So they take care of the what they call the silent poverty, the kind of unrecognized needy people of Maastricht. So yeah, and I think in this time that number of people has grown quite a bit.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Sure. Yeah. But
And have you got enough challenge lined up?
No, I've promised my fiance that I'm going to leave the challenges for at least a year. So maybe in 2022, because of course she has to, for that whole stretch, look after our 4-month-old.
I was going to say, also, I can see why that's a particular timeline there, but of course you're a daddy now with baby Ember, who we were lucky enough to see earlier, absolute cutie, but cute she may be, but a handful, I suspect, with sleepless nights, etc., for the next year. So trying to train when you haven't been sleeping is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was a bit of a practice for the sleep deprivation of doing the challenge.
Yeah,
I saw it.
An extreme way to go. But Hugo, this isn't the first 4x4 challenge you've done, because I believe last year you did one for Ocean's Cleanup. Is that correct?
That's very nearly correct. It's the first. So
Okay.
4x4 by 48. So that's the 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. But before I did another running challenge, which was 10K a day for 30 days. And then I finished with a marathon on the last day.
Oh, yeah. But that's also pretty impressive, Hugo.
Thanks. Yeah.
Very good. But very nice. But indeed, so what are we now? We're saying it's June. So indeed, you've got 6 more months of this year to get through. And 2022, you could be back, if you like, full time doing all of these challenges and everything else. So
full time.
If people are willing to fund me full time.
Yes, there you go. It's always good to do something for a good cause. It's good for the karma, I think so. But you're also busy with something new in the meantime, which Joe was mentioning just before you joined us, and that's your new boot camp that you're kicking off shortly here in the park in Maastricht. What's going on? Tell us.
What's going on? Well, we're going to be training outside. It's going to be a good gezellig atmosphere. And I've got some fun new exercises that are going to challenge everybody. And we've got a fun new format as well. So I won't say too much, but it's going to be a little bit like how I would do a one-on-one PT session, but we're going to do it in a big group. So, yeah. And we're going to work through a kind of range of intensities and focus on lots of things all around.
It's all very well you saying you're not going to say too much, but I'm sorry, putting the word fun and boot camp in the same sentence, that's a huge contradiction to me. So can you maybe enlighten us on actually how you can make a boot camp fun?
Well, it's a good question. Working out as a group and outside in a nice setting already makes a really big difference.
Yeah.
And then I like to introduce some games, a little bit of competition at the end as well. So yeah, I think that makes it pretty fun. Yeah, and then we have lots of like we do balance exercises. I'll show you a balance exercise.
Oh, there you go.
This is what the viewers tune in for.
Well, the problem with my wide angle lens is that we're going to see only my feet. That's more important.
Okay, not to worry.
Yeah, so this is a beginner's one. This is a single leg balance reach. Okay, so we kind of go round the clock on one leg. This is obviously very entry level, and then we go back to here, and then we can get a little bit more involved, doing lunges,
advanced lunge
thing. And doing all this kind of stuff in a nice group of people. I think it's good fun. That's.
I think you're probably right, and people have been stuck indoors for so long. They're probably willingly sign up for even. No, that's not what I meant. But the thing is, when you think about boot camp, it almost sounds like a punishment that I'm being sent to boot camp. But people are they wanting to sign up for this type of thing? And I think there is a hunger for it. And certainly after being locked down for over a year, people are eager to perhaps, work off perhaps extra kilos or just get out and about with a routine again. So it's I think it's good timing.
Exactly. Oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear you say that. It's outdoors. We're not inside. We're with people, and we're getting moving. And it's Maastricht. It's the Stads Park, so it's beautiful, even if it's a bit drizzly. So yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because, of course, we're living in a part of the world where the weather is not reliable. So on those days when maybe it's a bit wetter, what are you going to do then? Are you going to still make everybody do those lunges when it's chucking it down with rain?
Well, there are times if we have storm weather with, lightning and actually dangerous weather, then that's a no-go. Okay, but aside from that,
it's got to be that extreme before you say abandon ship.
I grew up playing rugby in South London. All right, we played in all the weather.
Oh yeah.
It's good. It's once you get moving, it's fine.
I think you're right. If you're getting all hot and sweaty, a bit of rain is probably welcome. It's like, oh my God, just to cool you off a little, perhaps.
Precisely. It's summer, so it'll be warm enough, and we can always put our phones and wallets in waterproof bags. But yeah, if it's really muddy, I try not to have people lying down in the mud and getting paid, because that's not fun. Obviously, we're not there to punish people, like you say.
But this, as Tracy said, there's going to be a lot of people who are very keen to get out now and to get back into some kind of routine as far as fitness is concerned. But of course, the other side of it, this past year has been very difficult for a lot of people who maybe have found that their motivation has sunk considerably and can't find that energy to maybe get out and do any kind of exercise at all. So how would you be able to encourage those people to actually get out the house now that we are able to socialize more with people?
Yeah, it's a very good question and a big issue. And just a heads up, we're going to have mum and baby. Oh no, sorry. I thought someone was coming in, but then maybe they're not. Right. They're hovering at the door.
Hovering with intent.
To the boot camp, and then everybody will come and have a look at Emma. Oh, isn't she cute?
Exactly. That's my dog running around making a racket. It's all happening.
See the doggy.
See the dog. Actually looking at the camera, amazingly.
And he's doing a little workout for you. Look at
that.
He
is. That's what the exercise mat is for.
He wants to play. Oh.
Okay, I can leave it on the dog if you like. I'll see myself out. Yeah, no. So going back to your question, Joe. Yeah. Just chip a little bit off the block. Make your first move. Just don't overplan it. A lot of the time, people will go, "I want to make a change. I want to, improve my habits," and they'll start looking at something online, which is, of course, makes sense. And then what they'll get is these are all the things you have to do to get fit and be perfect. And just start with one thing, because the whole mountain is insurmountable from the base. Just get out of the house and move. That's step one. Or if it's seeing people, if it's becoming a bit anxious or agoraphobic about going outside, just meet someone for a coffee, do something, and just keep building up day by day.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this before, Tracy and Matt, about this idea that even the most sociable of people have found that over the past year, the idea of socialising again actually is a little bit daunting, because before we were quite happy just going about our business, hanging out with friends and parties or whatever. But now, because we have been away and been antisocial for so long, that step of going outside can be sort of scary, I think, because it's not just about meeting people. There's still this hanging over us. Is it safe?
I think that as well, but you also have to make an effort now. I've got to get up, get showered, get dressed, and go out. It's, oh my God, what a pain!
Just need to remember how it was fun in the first time round. Like when you used to do it, you need to think, oh, I enjoyed it then when I used to do it. I just have to do it. I have to go and do it. And I think that's the same with exercise. Afterwards you'll feel better. It's just like getting that motivation to just get on with it and do it. It's going to be a bit horrible to start with, but it'll be.
Indeed.
That's true.
Making that first step.
Fitness level are we looking at here? If anybody wants to actually join, Hugo.
Very broad. So I would say anyone come along and have a go, basically. And if it's not for you, one ticket is €10. So it's not a huge investment. If it's not for you, then you haven't lost very much, I don't think. But it is very, very broad. It's difficult to say, what exactly is the very bottom limit. I mean, if you haven't exercised in 10 years or something like that at all, then this is probably not the best place for you to start. Then one-on-one training or even just, like I said, just doing anything to begin with is the best starting point.
Excellent.
Indeed. And we should remind watchers that Hugo does offer personal fitness training as well. And that's where people have literally this one-on-one. So they would come to you, I believe, sort of outline a bit their goals, or if you like the kind of, I don't like my legs, or I don't like my arms, or whatever, and that they would make a sort of plan with you, I believe, to kind of reach their ideal goal or what they want to achieve. Is that how it works?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, exactly. I try to work with sort of performance related goals, or when I say performance, that doesn't necessarily mean, how high can you jump or how much can you lift. But for most of us nowadays, it's, relating to how let's get your posture really good, and let's get the way you move really functional. And yeah, as soon as I say the word posture, everyone kind of goes, I'm sitting here slouching away anyway. But that kind of thing, or maybe it's I don't know. So, and of course, weight loss and what we call body transformation, getting in shape. Yeah, of course, that's a big goal that nearly all of us care about as well. So we look at, I help you with your nutrition, how much of what you should be eating, and we make an exercise plan to achieve all of that.
Brilliant. So if people want to join, what do they do?
Go to my Facebook page. So that's just at Bridge Personal Fitness. And then they can get in touch with me directly through direct message. And you can look at the events page, and that's where all the bootcamp stuff is. And yeah, that's it really. You can send me an email as well to info@bridge.fitness, and my website is bridge.fitness.
Brilliant. And when do they actually start?
They start on the 14th of June.
Ooh, not too long now.
If that's a Monday. I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, well, before you go, Hugo, I think we probably should get you back on the mat there and maybe show us a few moves, maybe in the horizontal position this time.
Ooh.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so I'll go through. This is the kind of thing that I like to do a lot, and we can work through a kind of beginner to more advanced level. I care an awful lot about core strength and core stability, especially around the pelvis, lower abdominal region. So if we're starting as a complete beginner, we want to get into this position with the knees up, and we want, through all of these exercises, keep the lower back nicely flattened against the floor. And we can just stand there. We do some of these toe taps. Okay. Just really gently, really slowly, keeping that control. And then we can get a little bit more serious, build a bit more strength by doing 2 feet at the same time.
Oh, yeah. I think we could do this.
I've done something similar in Pilates, I think, but not as maybe.
We want to get a little bit heavier and start doing a bicycle. Yeah. And then
very appropriate International Bicycle Day.
Yes.
Exactly. And then we can start doing some of these V-ups.
Ooh.
Oh, I say. Oh, Matt's joining in already. Excellent.
Matt's moving his arm.
Brilliant. Well, Hugo, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll get all of your contact details out on our socials after the show. Good luck with the boot camp, and good luck with the wedding on Saturday.
Thank you so much for all of that, for all the wishes, and for having me on a third time. And love the show. So keep it up.
Oh, that's very lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, Hugo. We'll catch up with you soon.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
See you now. Bye.
Oh, wow.
Bless you. Hey,
very nice. Beg pardon?
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy chap. Well, certainly this weekend he is getting married and all on Saturday. So
weddings going on, boot camp, 4x4s. There's
cute doggies.
Yeah, well, don't forget the cute dog. Ellie's with us. She's in the house this evening. Hello, Ellie. Susan as well. Lovely, as always, to have all of our viewers joining us. If you wanted to drop us a quick line before we finish, we're nearly at the end of the show. But before we do go, Matt's going to go Dutch for us. What have you got for us this week, Matthew?
I'm continuing with my invention theme.
Oh.
But I would like to quickly say, this month is Pride Month. So it's a celebration of all things gay and colourful. So I will try and bring some...
Rainbows.
Sorry?
Rainbows.
Rainbows, indeed. I will try and bring up some Pride-related stuff in the next few weeks.
Lovely.
For now, I'm going to focus on Dutch food inventions, because of course we all like to eat, especially on this show. And so I thought we'd explore the food that was invented here. So to start with, we have the Holstein Friesian cattle. So they are the traditional black and white cows, which you think of when you think of a cow. That's the cow you think of, and they come from the Netherlands because there were two tribes. There was the Hesse, and they migrated to the North Sea coast in 100 BC, and they brought with them their herd of black cattle. And when they got there, they met the Friesian tribe with their herd of white cattle. And, things happened, and eventually they got this new breed of cattle, which were black and white.
Wow.
And we have the Holstein Friesian cattle, and eventually they became the most productive dairy cattle in the world. They still are today, because they eat a lot of the grassland created by the polders in the Netherlands. So that's why the Netherlands is so productive in terms of dairy products like cheese and milk and yogurts, etc. So they're quite important, and they've been exported all over the world. So you will find them in over 150 countries, and they're over 2,000 years old, these cows, this breed. The next thing is the orange carrot, because carrots were not always orange.
Very true.
Originally, carrots were black, purple, white, red, or brown. Those fancy carrots you sometimes find in the supermarket if you go to an organic market. But they were the original colours, but then in the Middle Ages, the Dutch decided to breed together the red and the yellow carrots to produce an orange carrot, which was a lot sweeter than the other types of carrots. I think it was easier to grow. That's why it sort of became the carrot. So that when you think of a carrot, obviously that's what you think of. But the original breed of carrot was not orange. And of course, it's the Dutch colour, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Yes.
And then we have Elstar apples, which were only created in the 1950s, actually, by Arie Schaap. And they were a cross between the Golden Delicious and the Ingrid Marie apple. And I'm sure you've all had an Elstar apple. They're quite nice. They're sweet apples. They're really good for apples, sauces, dessert stuff. Then, of course, we have Jenever, or gin, which is very important.
Very important.
Thought to have been invented by Franciscus Sylvius in the mid-17th century. But there's some controversy that possibly it already existed by that point, with some sources suggesting it was invented in around the 13th century, and possibly in Italy, not in the Netherlands. So it's a bit controversial there. But originally, whoever created it, it was created as a medicine originally, not as an alcoholic drink. So gin is a white spirit which is flavoured with juniper berries and other botanicals. So it was originally used as a medicine. How effective it is as a medicine, I don't know, but
it's very effective, actually.
It could have a very good numbing effect, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally, yes.
And memory loss, also a side effect of too much gin consumption, as I learned during Eurovision.
Pretending to, indeed, Matthew.
And finally, we have cocoa powder. The Dutch invented cocoa powder. So in the 1820s, Casparus van Houten developed a method for pressing the fat from roasted cacao beans, and then removing half the fat, which created a chocolate liqueur, which could then be turned into the world's first hard chocolate bars. So before this point in the 1820s, it was not possible to have a proper chocolate bar like we know today. So we have the Dutch to thank for chocolate as we know it. So if you like chocolate, you're in the right country. Because before that, chocolate was only consumed as a drink, so hot chocolate in hot drinks.
Well, as a chocolate lover, thank you, Netherlands.
Oh, big thank you. Absolutely. And especially when it comes to hot chocolates. Now, I'm very picky when it comes to hot chocolates, because to try and get what I class as a decent hot chocolate is not always easy, because you can go into a cafe and ask for a hot chocolate and they might give you this chocolatey milk that they've got in a carton somewhere. But I like it with the real cocoa powder and the steamed milk, and then it comes out proper.
Are you a marshmallow in your hot chocolate type of gal, Joe?
Not really. I'll do it. I will do it, but sometimes I find it gets a bit too sweet.
Right.
So yes, I'm a pure chocolate kind of girl anyway. I like my dark chocolate. So having marshmallows, sometimes I find it gets a bit sweet. But you know, if I've got a bit of an extra sweet tooth that particular day, I'll have it. But well, it seems to me, Mac, that we have an awful lot to be thankful for as far as the Dutch is concerned. They've given us a lot of goodies over the years. So yes, we should say a big thank you to the Netherlands. And
thank you, Val.
Thank you, Val. Yes. Right along.
Yes. Thank you very, very much. And before we disappear for the night, Tracy, titty bitties.
Yes, indeed. I have 3 for you this evening. Lots more stuff coming out now. First of all, our fabulous partner, Meet Maastricht, have some good news. So if anyone out there is looking to go for a walk or a bike ride in the city with a friend or 2, you can do so as of Saturday. Meet Maastricht are offering tours in the city for up to 3 people together. Check out meetmaastricht.eu or email info@meetmaastricht.eu for more information. We'll post also their Instagram details in the post-show post. Secondly, something a little bit different, C as in coding, are offering a new in-person intensive course to learn Python programming in Maastricht this summer. So that's quite something. So that's a high-level general-purpose programming language. And so if you're interested, you can sort of select the kind of time schedule that suits you best, and you can email them via the link on their Facebook page. So we'll mention that as well. The course lasts for about 40 hours. It's 2 hours a day from Monday to Friday for 4 weeks. And if you sign up for their promo price, you can get everything, including materials, for €400 instead of €500. So that's quite cool.
Sounds good.
So that's C as in coding. And finally, the lovely folks at Mares are offering romantic summer picnics in their garden in Maastricht on special blankets designed by local artists. So from the 10th of June until the 15th of August, Tuesday to Sunday, from 12:15 to 4 p.m, you can book your picnic basket. It costs $13.50 per person, and you can pay a supplement if you want to have wine, beer, or Prosecco, or all 3, depending on your plans. And you can also get a picnic to go, which includes a free tote bag. Loads of stuff going on. So more at mares.org, and you can also follow them on social media. And again, I shall post their information in the post-show post. Post-show post. Yes.
Brilliant stuff. Oh, well, this all sounds very positive, doesn't it, Tracy?
Yes.
Because things are starting to open up now. There are more things going on. So we will actually have to have about an extra half an hour of the show just for the titty bitties coming soon.
We'll probably have to extend it till 8:15, I should think. Yes.
Because tomorrow a lot of the measures are loosened, aren't they?
Yes.
So you can have 4 people at home, 4 people outside as well, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So a cafe is allowed to open until 10,
Yeah.
and open earlier. So there's lots more you can do.
You could go inside a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So as of Saturday, I think, so you depending, I think it's a max of 30 people, or depending on the size of the premises, but you can actually eat indoors. And given the forecast for the weekend, it's maybe good that you can go inside as well.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. So we've got lots to look forward to, which is superb. And we've got next week's show to look forward to as well. But a big thank you to Hugo from Big Bridge Personal Fitness for joining us this evening, showing us a few moves, getting us motivated to go and join his boot camp. So please do sign up for that, and we'll get all his details out on the post-show post after the show. It's been World Bicycle Day today. We've chatted about bikes. We've had the review for the Rolling Stones this evening. You can find all that information again still on our show. You can watch it whenever you want. And oh, look, as if by magic,
Look at
a
that.
bicycle poster. Max, honestly, the timing is perfect. Well done. We shall be back again next week. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever it is that you're doing, however you're doing it, whether it's inside, outside, with friends. Isn't it great? We shall see you again next week. Enjoy the weather, however it's going to be. And we shall see you next Thursday. Have a great time. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. We're done.
We're still streaming on Facebook, though.
Well, on my Facebook, it says we're finished. So.
Oh, right.